Such a thrill.
Yes.
Today, we're talking about AI, artificial intelligence. And Hirsch, I am thinking that we need to discuss what AI can do for us and what AI is doing to us.
Yes. And I will already, while we agree on many things, Nancy, I will challenge the assertion that AI is doing anything to us, because I honestly feel that we've lost sight of the fact that we created artificial intelligence. This is not something that came from another planet, and that alien beings have foisted upon us in part of a takeover. This is an evolution in our own uh, uh, toolkit. This is and yes, it is incredibly dangerous. So are guns, so are swords, right? So are bombs, all dangerous. But we created them. They were not put here by some other force. And so I think that going into the conversation about it, it's important to say, oh yeah, we have created this. Now, why? Why and how are we going to use it?
Yes, we have created it. And this is why I said, what is it doing to us? Because many times our creations, like the atomic bomb, backfire,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I mean, and yet one could also argue that nuclear energy may be a positive outcome, etc. There are many, you know what? There are different perspectives about it. And that is really why I posed the question the way I did, because there are different perspectives about AI. It is not one uniform item, nor is it one uniform activity. And yes, who gave rise to AI? We did. As humans, we have been curious to both understand our human brain and how we function and our behavior, and at the same time, control and somehow have mastery over our environment. So it's a very interesting, flow and juxtaposition of trying to figure out how we function, maybe do it even better if we can. And at the same time, we go from there and we find out there are always side effects of every medicine we invent.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good point, Nancy. It's there are side effects, so in that sense, if we abuse something that we create to help us, then we are doing damage to ourselves. So in a way, while I'm glad I made that earlier point, I agree with you. We are doing whatever we're doing to ourselves. um I think that to start with, it's important to understand that AI is, again, going back to my opening argument, not an all-knowing sentient being. And what I often tell clients, because as a writer, as a strategist, um, I point out that that AI can deliver some great and rapid solutions to content questions and issues, um, but it does not deliver strategy as I've seen it thus far. And that's really important because, in a way, we put a lot of emphasis on prompting. In a way, uh, it's only as good as the questions we ask it, and it's only as strategic as the strategy that we employ when we're asking it to perform.
So true. And I think that many people fail to recognize again that it's only as good as the input, whatever we fed into it, and then our questions. And so, hence, it's very important in using AI. There's something called prompts, how it is that we formulate and prompt the tool to respond to our request. Those prompts have to be modified and tweaked because, and what's interesting is that you can ask the same AI tool that prompt repeatedly and yet get a variety of answers, which then, again, it takes human discernment and our ability to take what is that the output that's delivered and then do something with it. When I said that, what is AI doing to us? I'm often thinking about the fact that too many people are letting AI be their spokesperson without modification. Hence, that's what it's doing to us. It's making us lazy. It's making us complacent. It's making us uncreative. To me, these are, again, it's only as good as the human who gives it a prompt and uses it.
Yeah. And, I have done my due diligence over the last year or so to try to use AI as a
Mhm.
writer. I feel like it's my responsibility to explore that tool, right? If
Right.
if my clients are uh, counting on me to deliver original, fresh thinking, I have to use all the tools and see, well, does it help or does it hurt? And what I found is personally in and I've said this in the past, but I think it's proving to be true. What I'll say is when the less it matters, the more you can use it. And so, and I found that just to be true, like even last week when I was synopsizing work that my client had done, and I thought, oh, maybe it'll save time. I'll put it in Chat GPT and I'll see what happens. And I put a bunch of information in, and I just felt like, well, I really want this to be good. I want this to be exciting. I want this to be fresh. I don't want it to read like like AI. And so I rewrote it. But if I were just synopsizing something and I just needed the facts and just needed it straight out of the box to not be what is elsewhere on the web and something like that, then it would be fine. If it were just a manual or a report or something that is truly information based and not at all designed to entertain, engage, or illuminate, then I would be like, okay, great. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing, no reason not to.
Yeah. And hence summary tools are often AI tools. And
Yes.
I agree with you. Summary tools can be very helpful. They capture quickly the essence of the ideas that were discussed. And then I know that one of the summary tools that I've started using is one that also records. So if I then want to go back, I can not only read the transcript, I can actually look at the conversation and then glean from it, because where we humans excel is our ability to go underneath what we hear. There are messages being delivered, especially emotions, feelings, that AI cannot figure out, right?
Mhm.
Unless we use symbols, words to describe it. And then AI is stuck with those words. And those words, as you and I both know, they're symbols. They can fall short of what it actually is that we intend to say. And again, as a creative writer, and also for me as a psychologist, going underneath and being able to find nuances and then come up with a way to encapsulate, express that. I mean, that is my contribution. That's what makes me unique.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, as this medium progresses, there's constant evolution. I had someone on my podcast. I know we always try to give some kind of pointer that maybe the audience would not find anywhere else. And I had someone on my Yes Brand podcast last week named Stefan Fair, FEHR, who has a company called Modern IQS, Modern IQs, and what that does is when you give a prompt to that, you immediately get back a full article with imagery. You know, a lot of us use it, you use prompts to get imagery, but this creates the entire article and layout with the imagery. Um, and it's pretty amazing. And the time is exponentially faster than a lot of what is out there already. So, and Stefan discusses in the interview, this is just, you know, this is the beginning of what he's doing. His goal is to have startups be able to generate income from their inventions without having to even secure venture capital just to get their startups off the ground. So he has a very specific mission to help startups, which I think already is very purposeful and laudable. But I think that the idea of what's possible is not anything that I would challenge. I think that would be foolhardy to challenge progress as though it's a bad thing. I think what it really is use our individuality, as you say, use what makes us special, that individual spark, rely on that more heavily than on technology, but still uh, feed technology those special immutable parts that are going to truly make our content stand out no matter how fast it's generated.
Nice, really nice. I showed while you were talking a message here from one of our viewers, Darlene, and I'll put it back up again. She compares AI to angel food cake. So in order to make angel food cake, which is relatively a plain cake,
Right.
you know, how do you doctor it up? How do you make it your own? Well, you have to take extra time. And that's so, yes, when you buy a cake mix and you know, a box, and you mix it, you know, with ingredients and so forth and put it in the oven, okay, you're going to get the angel food cake, but is it truly yours? It isn't yours until you have gone that extra step and made it something special. And I
Right.
think that's why our store-bought items, you know, versus something from a bakery, you know, where there is a human beings, you know, not just following robotically directions, why it makes a big difference. And that's, you know, AI is a robot. It's a tool that we're commanding to produce things. And like you say, it may produce it in a good amount and quicker than we humans could do it, but it's not human until we add something of our own.
Until we make it human. Yeah. Very, very true. And thank you, Darlene, for chiming in with that, because that is the beauty of creativity,
Yeah.
is that even you go to a bakery, uh, every single muffin, everything will not taste the same exactly, because it's not made that way. They make a cake for your birthday. It probably will be a little bit different or taste a little bit different than whatever cake you had yesterday. You know, there's nuance to it. And I think that that's a part of the process, is our making something our own. So
Yeah.
let's not lose that.
And what's interesting, since we're on the cake analogy a little bit, when cake mixes first came out, literally all you needed to do was put back moisture, hence water. But they found that people did not feel that they were fulfilled by simply adding water, stirring, and baking. And hence they started having you add eggs. Now the eggs can come dry and as part of the ingredients, but by adding the eggs, and again, eggs are different sizes, right?
Mhm.
Different consistency depending on the feed that the chickens eat. The eggs really can taste quite different, etc. Hence, you get a different cake. And it was only when the home baker could add these ingredients that he or she felt accomplished and felt that they were indeed, you know, something loving from the oven.
I love that. I love that. And I think that tips us off to another great conversation, which is uh, marketing marketing kind of know and sell. When you're trying to get a product out there and you're trying to make that product sound unique, what are certain brands doing to
Yes.
sell the truth and sometimes to misrepresent the truth a little bit or spin a little bit. So I think there's something to that conversation as
Let's
well.
talk about that next time because our time is up today. But I really like that. And especially, of course, your book is coming out, which is
Yes.
Sell the Truth. So, in fact, I'm going to duck out so people can.
That's right. Selling the Truth, coming out in October.
Okay, yes. So be prepared. And we didn't introduce ourselves, but we can as we exit. This is Dr. Nancy Zare, Sales Whisperer.
And Hirsch Repun, the Message Therapist. And we're wishing you a wonderful, wonderful week after a wonderful, hopefully long holiday weekend.